So from here we see the duality of time, which has been published in this book and also in another maybe informal or this book is actually more detailed. This is easier and shorter. And also I published the main thesis, the main paper in a separate book called Duality of Time and its consequences on the general theory of relativity and quantum mechanics. So based on this new idea of time, we will be able to really understand what is really time, what time is really is, and also what is space, and is it related to space, and does time and space have a beginning? All these are actually answered. The arrow of time, the entropy, the meaning of the moment, all these actually have been answered in these books, including also some various aspects of the first logical interpretation of quantum mechanics, including the wave-particle duality and also the causality and non-locality. All these have been explained in these books. So again, here also I'm actually planning to write this book, which really is more inclined into the consequences of the single monad model on mathematics, on pure mathematics and number theory. Because I told you that with the new concept of time, there is no more any difference between mathematics and physics, and therefore everything in the universe is like complex number or temporal numbers that range from 0 to infinity, and even pure mathematics will become relativistic because the very dimensions of geometry are identical with the speed of light, as we will see in a moment. So finally, the duality of time theory or the duality of time postulate, it's actually very easy and very short. One simple principle from which all the principles of special, general and quantum relativity and quantum mechanics, all these principles are actually included in this short postulate, which is actually, for me, it's just a statement that has been already proved. The reason why it's proved, it's a fact, because it solves all the current problems and it makes all the derivations that are not even possible in the current series of general relativity and quantum mechanics. So the postulate says, at every instance of the outward normal level of time, this outward normal level of time, space and matter are perpetually being recreated in one chronological sequence which forms the inner levels of time, the 6 levels of time, that are also nested inside each lower dimension of space. So the inner levels are nested, 1D, 2D, 3D, and then appearing in the outside as inner time and outer time. So inner dimensions, outer dimensions. The inner dimension altogether are the real time, and the outer dimension is imaginary time. So you can see with this postulate we have now genuinely imaginary, not like what Stephen Hawking was trying to really he tried very hard to establish the concept of imaginary time, and also in quantum mechanics the imaginary time is useful. But so far in physics, either in relativity or in quantum mechanics, although the idea of imaginary time is being used, however, it's only a mathematical trick because it has no genuine presence, genuine effect. The reason is because in order to have a genuine imaginary, you have to have a real part, because genuine imaginary must have a real. So here we have a real time and imaginary time, and therefore they become genuinely imaginary and also genuinely fractal, because we will see that this outer dimension is like a fraction of the inner dimension, and therefore we have genuinely imaginary or genuinely complex and genuinely fractal, expressed very easily through this equation that is hyperbolic or split complex numbers. So we have inner or imaginary and inner or real and outer or imaginary. In the outer time we have objects moving with physical velocity. In the inner time we have creation at the speed of creation, which is the speed of light. So simply we can express this number either as TR, T real, T imaginary, or C, the creation in real time, V, motion in the outside time. So this is our convention that we will use throughout the rest of the presentation. Therefore, we can now define or express this in a complex time frame where we have internal time and external time. In the internal time, we have real velocity equals c. In the outer time, we have zero velocity. Okay, zero instantaneous velocity, but we have average velocity. So that's why there is no real motion. That's why here these frames are discrete or granular. Okay, so we have frames of space. So normally in our normal life, we don't feel this granularity. We only feel continuous because we don't feel this creation. We only see it after it's created. So we actually feel ourselves continue or moving continuously on this outer time. However, we only live from this. We only live one instance, and then we live another instance, and then we live another instance. So at every instance we are at no motion, only we are being recreated. Everything is recreated. So the actual velocity is zero, but only there is average velocity which seems to be continuous. And from here comes the approximation of general relativity, which I will speak about later. So the real time, just like in the theory of relativity that we know today, the real time is the distance over c on the y, on the x, etc., square and the square root. This is the real time. So since this is hyperbolic, we have the relation here is minus. In the spherical space, we have plus. This is the Pythagorean square relation. But this is hyperbolic, that's why here we have minus, and from here we get the effect of relativity or the Lorentz transformation, which we will see in a moment.